Good morning, everybody, and happy Friday. Today is May 7th, 2021, and we are here for our Director's Workshop, What the Best Do Better Than Everyone Else. I'm so glad that you're all able to join me today. I know that it's a difficult time right now with staffing and getting people to be at work. But I'm glad that you're able to join me this morning for some fun and motivating professional development. I want to have fun with this topic today. I kind of feel like we deserve to have a little bit of fun with some encouragement and some motivating and just some positive spirits. I think it's something that we are all desperately needing right now. So I've put together a list, quite an extensive list maybe, of some of the characteristics of the best and what the best do better than everyone else. And I kind of have a little bonus at the end of this that we will talk about what 10 things that the best teachers can also do to be better than everyone else. But the main focus today is going to be about the leader of the program, the director of the program, you. All right. For those of you that this is your first time joining us, welcome. We're so glad that you're here with us today. The way that this works is that we are live right now on Facebook. So you have the opportunity to interact with me. You can ask questions on the chat screen right there. If you need additional information about anything we're talking about, you can type that in, whatever you're needing from me right there. And because of this, it makes it instructor-led with childcare licensing. So 20% of your training hours must be instructor-led material. If you are participating live on May 7th, this counts as instructor-led with licensing. Yay! Now this is also being recorded. So if you are watching the recorded webinar, that will be counted as self-instructional. All right, but for those of you that are hopping on live, this is instructor-led training. At the end of the workshop today, I will post a link for you to click on, and you can complete an online worksheet, and I will email you a certificate of completion. There is a $15 fee for your certificate of completion since this is a 3-hour workshop. All right? Pretty simple. Most of you know the drill. You know how this works. After 14 months, we've got this down. So that's how that works. Good morning, everyone. Look at all of these fantastic early learning leaders hopping up on our webinar today. So great people popping on. Welcome to all of you. So many of you that I see jumping on the Facebook Live are already pretty awesome. So why are you here? No, we can always be better. Absolutely, we can always be better. And so, like I said, I just want to have fun with this this morning. So let's go ahead and jump on in there. What do the best directors do whenever they're supervising their people, when they're working with their teachers? Well, here's what we've discovered. Your teachers are the ones that know what sets you apart from the average, director to the best directors. So a lot of the information that I'm going to share with you today came from the teachers. All right. It's not something that came from a leadership book or article. It's something that came actually from the teachers. I put this together several years ago, and then I've adapted it over the years, and definitely have adapted it throughout the pandemic right there. So there you go. So let's just kind of jump right on in and have some conversations about the best characteristics right there. So one thing that the best do better than everyone else is we follow the rules. All right. So we're going to tackle a big one right up front right there. And I know especially, over the last 14 months, this has been a difficult part of our job because we've had so many new rules that have come about, and different direction and different recommendations and requirements. And I'm sure many of you have been forced to follow some rules that you may not have agreed with. But the best do it anyways, all right? Regardless of what your beliefs are, you follow the rules and you do the right thing. I am a big believer that if you do the right thing will eventually come back to you. And so many times we have to look at these situations and ask ourselves, what is the right thing to do? All right? So that's what we do. When you talk about what the best do better than everyone else, it's pretty simple. We follow the rules. All right? Now, I want to reflect a little bit on a time when you did have to follow a rule that you didn't necessarily agree with or understand. All right? My advice to you whenever you're put into this type of situation is to do a little bit of a research. Do some research on whatever that particular rule is. Once we understand the reason behind a particular rule, we're more willing to follow it. So, a lot of times we have some new rules that come out and the knee-jerk reaction is, I don't like this. After we do a little bit of research and we find out the reason why we have to follow this new rule, then you kind of go, oh, I get it now. All right? So, always kind of set some time aside to do a little bit of digging. And y'all know that that's something that I always strive to do in a lot of the classes that I teach, especially when we talk about minimum standards and the CDC guidelines and health protocols. I try to give you a little bit more information about where this is coming from, why we have this particular rule change, so that it can kind of make people understand the intention a little bit more, all right? But sometimes you may have to do this on your own. So use the internet, let that be your best friend. Make sure that you're getting information from a valuable, reputable source, so always check the source. Just because it's on the internet doesn't mean it's true, all right? But kind of figure out the reason why. I'm going to use the child care minimum standards as an example right here. And, recently we've had some changes that a lot of people weren't too happy about. And they immediately wanted to blame and attack child care licensing. But in reality, it wasn't licensing that made the rule change. It was our lawmakers, So it was really interesting once I explained that to so many people that, hey, posting our turnover rate on child care licensing's website was not a licensing decision. This decision was made by the lawmakers that you elected. Well, then, it kind of changed people's perspective. Still didn't make it, happy, but at least, the blame and the attack wasn't on licensing. So that's the most recent example right there of times that you've had to follow a rule that you didn't necessarily agree with right there. Hello, Samantha from El Paso. We were just talking about El Paso earlier in the week. That's so funny that you said hello to me. Even before the pandemic, it's been a while since I've traveled to El Paso to do some in-person training. So Samantha, maybe we could make that happen once our world gets back to normal and we start traveling again. I kind of miss my El Paso friends in person. So welcome. Another characteristic of the best, what the best do better than everyone else, you consistently recognize good work, all right? A lot of times, especially when we have an overdose of busyness and stress, we tend to only want to focus on the negative behaviors. We tend to only want to focus on those who are not meeting expectations. So what the best do better than everyone else is we do it consistently, where we address negative behavior and low expectations, but we recognize good work as well, all right? And, I encourage y'all to kind of just get a blank sheet of paper and, put a T on it. And, anytime you address an expectation, kind of write that down on the right side, but then make sure that you address quality work or good work with somebody else so that you have a good balance across your school, that you're recognizing good work, but you're also addressing low expectations or negativity. That's what I encourage you to do right there. Oh, look at that. We have someone from Illinois on our Facebook Live today. That's pretty awesome. I've got several friends up in the Illinois area, so that is great. Good to see you all up there. Yes. I know. Y'all, I don't want to get off topic because I always have to tell myself before I start these Facebook Lives, stay on topic, stay on topic, stay on topic. And if you're willing to email me or give me a call, I would love your feedback on this. But we're trying to decide for fall. Do we want to go back on the road? Are we ready to go back on the road and do in-person weekend mini conferences? Or should we continue to do Facebook Lives for at least the remainder of 2021? And I'm split in half on my decision, completely split in half on my decision. So any feedback that y'all have would be incredibly helpful. So shoot me an email or a message on Facebook, and then we can kind of figure out what we're going to do this fall. All right. So like I said, create a good balance of recognizing good work in addition to addressing negative behaviors and low expectations. If you have to create a little T-chart so that you can stay balanced and you're doing it equally, I think that's a really good idea, all right? But definitely when we talk to teachers, when we talk to employees, this was a big bit of feedback. When they talked about the best directors is that they address people consistently and evenly, that there is a good balance of affirmation and praise as well as constructive feedback, all right? But like I said, I know human nature, the human brain, when we are busy, when we are stressed, when we are operating in survival mode, and I know so many of you are operating in survival mode right now. It's really easy to focus on nothing but the negative, all right? You've got to make that shift and create a good balance. Another characteristic of the best, what the best do better than everyone else, is they create team spirit, or what we like to call in our organization, they create school family. All right, you create a culture of caring, a culture of cooperating, a culture of supporting one another. And that started with you, the leader. All right, you cannot expect your employees to be part of a team or to feel like they're part of a team. You can't expect your employees to support one another unless they're led by a leader. All right, so it starts right there with you. One of my favorite, someone just asked me, would I share the T chart? Yeah, it looks like that. Just a letter T on a piece of paper. So pretty simple right there. So if you address something negative, make sure you address something positive. It doesn't have to be on this with the same person, but just make sure you've got a good balance in your program. That was actually a really good question, so that y'all can have the visual right there. All right, but I want y'all to kind of reflect and think about, what you can do to support and enhance the teamwork within your program. What you can do to get those teachers to support one another. And one of the reasons why this is so incredibly important is, there's been a lot of Department of Labor statistics and data that has come out over the years that basically states that employees prefer to be recognized by their peers more than they do their supervisor, all right? So when the teachers compliment each other and they praise each other and they give that affirmation, it means a lot to them coming from a peer, all right? Sometimes when leaders give that praise and encouragement, it's kind of like, oh, it's part of their job. All right, as a leader, we're supposed to give that affirmation and that boost, all right? So coming from each other, that means a whole lot, all right? So create a culture of cooperation. When you see that you've got a teacher that are struggling just a little bit, encourage another employee, hey, that teacher that's next door to you, when you do see her doing something good or she's having a good circle time, do you mind if you're willing just to kind of give her a thumbs up or give her a high five or just let her know, hey, I caught a little bit of your circle time and it was really awesome, you know? You can encourage that within your employees right there. We just did a workshop a few weeks ago on building a successful team, and we talked about this a little bit in that particular workshop. This particular generation of workers, they prefer to work in groups. They prefer to work as part of a team. All right, that's how most of them were educated as part of a team. So the more teamwork we can create where they work in small groups, all right, so the infant toddler teachers get together and work on their lesson plans together. The preschool teachers, pre-K teachers get together and they do their planning or they do their anecdotal records, their assessments. That's going to be beneficial to your program because that's what this generation wants, all right? Even outside of the workplace, when it is safe to do so, if you could do some team building exercises outside of the workplace, something fun that doesn't have to do with work, all right? Our people these days are just so desperate to be with each other and to have some companionship and some unity. Once it is safe to do so in your area, schedule a night where you take on axe throwing, or to the bowling alley or something where they can collaborate together as a team. All right. And that kind of goes on to the next characteristic that I have on here is that they encourage cooperation. All right. They encourage cooperation. I always say that if it is possible in your program, always have two adults in every classroom for risk management purposes. But I think everyone would agree that having two adults is so much better than having one adult. Now, it may mean that we have a couple of more kids in that classroom, so we're going to have a larger group size to be able to pay for, two adults in that classroom. But every teacher I talk to, would rather have a couple of more kids and have that second adult than be by themselves, all right? Well, I think this is fantastic, especially, whenever you do have a person that needs constant affirmation. Look at their love languages, all right? Do the 5 languages of love by Gary Chapman with your employees. And if you have that person that needs a lot of affirmation, partner them with a person that has that encouraging attitude, all right? And when we assign employees to their job assignments, of course we need to look at their skills, their abilities, and their trainings, all right? But you also need to look at, their work ethics and their work style, their love language, and that you make sure you're assigning them a co-worker or an assistant teacher that complement each other, all right? That is a good fit. And that takes strategy. All right, that doesn't come naturally. You have to really look at this, but that's what the best do better than everyone else. You look at the human dynamics when making those job assignments. Are these two people going to work well together? Are these two people going to encourage each other? All right, and that's what you want to look at. I see Colleen is saying we always have 2 staff members in a classroom. I tell you what, if it is possible, that's always best case scenario. Unfortunately, there's been several programs over the last 14 months. I think that I have coached programs on situations with licensing more over the past 14 months with teachers that did not maintain self-control and did not use good judgment and had inappropriate behavior with a child, that they handled the child very aggressively, which ended up in a termination and a self-report to licensing or an investigation by licensing because of the way the teacher handled the child. I've seen this more over the last 14 months than I have in several years, which is very sad and discouraging. I think that there's just a lot of people that are at the end of their rope, and they're mentally and physically and emotionally exhausted. All right, so the kids are pushing those buttons, a lot easier these days. Ladies and gentlemen that are watching this right now, I can tell you, in almost every one of the situations where I've had to help coach a school, in these situations, the teacher has been by themselves. All right. And so we have to rely on cameras, or we have to rely on, interviews from the children to kind of get the true story of what happened and how did the teacher handle that child. All right. When there's two adults in the classroom, you're less likely to have that aggressive behavior. All right. I've still seen it happen, but it's very rare. All right. You usually have two teachers that are doing this together and they're covering each other. That's not a good situation either. All right. The next characteristic that the best do better than everyone else, I love this one right here. This is probably my favorite thing on the list. You expect high quality. All right. Not just minimum standards. We're not going to meet the bare minimum. We're going to exceed the minimum standard. That you strive to be that 4-star Texas Rising Star program, that national accreditation is on your radar, that you've achieved national accreditation or that you're working towards it. Not just going for the bare minimum, but you want to go above and beyond. That is a great characteristic. And y'all, I've been telling y'all for almost 15 years now that y'all need to be ready, because the level of quality here in Texas is about to be raised. It's about to be more than just what's in the child care minimum standards. We're going to be expected to raise the bar, all right? And it's happening, all right? We've got Texas Rising Star that has enhanced their expectations this year. We've got a couple of pieces of legislation that are passing, all right? That's going to raise quality in licensed child care facilities and after-school programs. So it's coming, all right? Now there's a reward for that too. The reimbursement rates that we get, the better quality program you are, the higher your reimbursement rates are for those of you that accept subsidized children. And we're going to see that with the rollout of the stimulus money. Y'all might have seen the news earlier this week about the money that was earmarked for child care programs and the money that was distributed down to Texas. If you read that document, those of you that are recognized as higher quality programs, there's going to be a little bit more money, all right, for you. So, that is definitely something that you always want to strive for, is to be better and better and better. And, I've seen programs, I've worked with programs that have the attitude of, we're just going to meet the minimum standards and that's it. We don't need to do any more than that. And it hurts my heart, all right? Our standards are good, but they could be better. All right. Expect high quality. Now, what I encourage you to do is the next time you have a staff meeting, when it is safe for you to gather, as a group and have a safe staff meeting, or if you want to do this on Zoom or whatever, you can do it that way. Ask your people, your staff, what does high quality mean to them? And what type of classroom do they want to teach, all right? When they're teaching the children, do you want to meet the bare minimum, or do you want to go above and beyond? But get your teachers involved in what high quality means to your school. And what are the benefits of having a high quality program? We talked earlier about the characteristics of today's workers. One characteristic of today's workforce is that they want to be proud of the establishment that they work for, all right? And that's what we do in early education. This is not a job, this is a purpose. And we want to create an environment that people are proud to work in. All right? Well, what's going to make you proud of this school? We're going to be proud of the level of quality that we establish within our program. And quality is lived by everybody. You can't just have 2 or 3 people in your school that strive for high quality and everyone else does the bare minimum. All right? Every single person on your team has to be looking in the binoculars way far ahead and aim towards high quality. All right? You can do that. That leads to the next characteristic of what the best do better. You get people involved. All right? Now, I can tell you that for me, this is a leadership skill that took me a while to practice and to master. At the beginning of my career as a leader and as a director, I was not a very good delegator. I'm the type of person that I know what I want, I know how to get it done, and I'm just gonna get it done fast, get it done my way, and not have to worry about anyone else and the performance that they do. And I learned very quickly as a director that there was no way I could get everything done by myself, and that delegation is a huge part of our job. All right. Plus, you're not growing your people. You're not growing your people unless you're getting them involved and you're giving them opportunities to grow themselves. All right. So, one of my mentors early on in my career taught me that you should always train someone to take your job tomorrow. All right. You never know when your time is up and it's time for you to move on, either by your choice, their choice, or God's choice. All right. You never know when it's time for you to move on. You always need to have someone trained to take your job. All right. Now, that doesn't mean you need to be afraid that they're going to take your job, but you're growing people around you. All right. And it's a fascinating feeling. It's a fascinating feeling to take someone, to believe in someone, to get them involved, all right, to grow them and to see them be successful. It's pretty cool stuff right there. Get your teachers involved, come up with committees, do some strategic planning, all right, and it could be little bitty things. We're working on a new employee referral program right now. The employee referral program we have is a little outdated, probably needs some fine tuning. I would like for 3 people, if you're willing to volunteer, 3 people that will work on a committee to help come up with a new employee referral program, and I think that you'll probably have more than 3 volunteers that, jump on that opportunity. And I love it because, I've told you all this so many times. Some of the greatest things that we have done in our organization were not my idea. It was the idea of our teachers that, when we get them involved, we give them some ownership of the program, they come up with really good ideas. Ideas that you're like, oh, why didn't I think of that? That is so simple and so awesome, and it's going to make such a big difference in our program. High five, good job. All right. They're the ones that are on the front line. They're the ones that are living the everyday life in the classroom. They probably have some really good ideas on how to make it better. All right. Another thing that the best do better than everyone else, they address poor performance right away. All right. When you have a teacher or when you have an employee that is not meeting an expectation, or when you have an employee that is negative and toxic and stirring the pot, address it right away. Don't give it time. Well, let's see how the rest of the week goes. Every single moment that toxic person continues to work in your program, they're bringing you down, all right? Negativity and that toxic personality and that low performance needs to be addressed immediately. You cannot ignore it and expect it to go away. All right, the only way it's going to go away is for you to lead them. All right, now y'all have heard me say this in so many different webinars. Obstacles and conflict are opportunities for you to lead. All right, so you've got to change your mindset, change your intent. All right, this teacher is being difficult right now. This is my opportunity to lead. Now, something we've learned about negative behavior and individuals that are toxic in your program, I think that you might be surprised that a large percentage of the time, they don't even realize that they're toxic or they're being negative, all right? Sometimes they're dealing with their own frustration. They're dealing with their own life events, all right? Things that are going on in their world, and they don't realize the impact that they're having on the rest of the school. So this might be a more simple conversation than you think it may be, all right? A lot of times we don't address that negative performance because we're afraid of conflict, all right? Sometimes we get so afraid of losing people that we're losing people, all right? I've seen that before. Oh, I'm so afraid to address this behavior because if I address this behavior, they might leave. Well, yeah, they might leave, but look at all of the other people that are leaving because of this person. You're losing people anyways, all right? So you've got to address it, and you got to address it right away, all right? A question about someone's personal appearance and their hygiene, all right? I've had to have this conversation before a couple of different times. One in particular that was probably the most uncomfortable conversation that I've ever had in my, not just my career, my life. You know what? I think it's Shalyn, I think maybe I said that right, hopefully. You just gotta be bold and brave and call it what it is, all right? You just gotta sit that person down and say, look, here's the situation. And I have found that in these tough conversations like this, honesty is the best policy, and just call it out. It's difficult, it's hard, all right? It's something we have to do as leaders, okay? So that's my advice to you right there. You know, sweet, great teacher, bad odor, you just need to sit her down and be honest with her, all right? And again, it's probably most likely not intentional, all right? You know, they may not be aware of this situation. They may not have the means to, you know, take care of this properly. So what can we do to help you with this? You know, so, you know, you never know what's going on in someone's personal life. They may put on a dog and pony show when they're at work, but in reality, their water has been cut off at home for 2 weeks now because they can't pay their water bill, all right? Or they can't afford to go buy soap or deodorant, you know? Or like I said, they just don't notice it themselves. We got a lot of people, especially in this state, that are naturalists, and they don't use deodorant and they don't bathe but once a week, you know, and that is their belief and their conviction. If that's their belief and their conviction, you know, they're entitled to that, but they need to be aware of the impact that it's having on the business, all right? And if there is an impact on the business, it's something that needs to be addressed, okay? But I have ran into that, and that's why I brought it up, where I had to address this issue, and the person came back and said, no, I'm all about saving the earth, and I'm only gonna take a bath once a week, and I'm not going to put chemicals on my body, and Mother Earth is more important than your business. And that was kind of the response I got from this person. Okay, I get it. You're entitled to that, but it's affecting the operation of our business. All right. Lice with a staff member before. That's a hard one right there too. Hey, let's go to the beauty salon and get our hair colored. That'll take care of it. Y'all know that for adults, that's one of the best way to take care of lice, right? Go get your hair done, get your hair colored. That hair color, they don't like that. All right, we went a little off topic on that one. All right, so, let employees know what the expectation is, hold them to it, hold them accountable. Tough love, folks, tough love, all right? And it's part of our role as a leader to give that tough love, all right? Don't tolerate low performance. This is the expectation, this is what you've got to do. But at the same time, give them the emotional support that they need, because, like we've already talked about, everyone's going through a tough time right now. We're in an unprecedented time once again. We're in an unprecedented time, and it's tough on everyone. I just posted something yesterday about, be part of the solution, not part of the problem. All right, we can get through this together. As long as we continue to work together and support one another, we can get through this difficult time. But you have to make the choice, and you're the only one that can make this choice. I can be part of the solution, or I can be part of the problem. All right. Did y'all see the news this morning? On my drive into work this morning, it popped up on my phone that they released the unemployment numbers for the last month, and the numbers were lower than expected, much lower than expected. And the headline that popped up on my phone is, "What happened to the recovery plan? Why isn't the recovery plan working?" And I almost drove off the road because I'm like, come on, folks, this is common sense. The number of new jobs did not go up because people are making so much money sitting at home. What is the motivation to get up and go to work when they're making $16.87 an hour sitting at home? Why don't our lawmakers get this? All right. As long as there is an incentive for people to stay at home, we're going to continue to struggle to get employees. All right. And so that article that popped up this morning about the unemployment rate, I seriously almost drove off the road shaking my head. Why isn't the recovery plan working? Because there's an incentive to stay home. That's why jobs aren't going up. All right. Colleen, I have to agree with you 100%, and this has been tough. I can't tell you how many times I've said this to people, here lately, but if someone's unemployment is more important to them than being in a classroom, these are not the people you want in your school. Their ethic and their integrity is not something you want in your culture. I agree with that 1,000%. But on the other hand, I can't tell you the number of schools that have had to put a pause on enrollment because they don't have enough employees to take care of the kids they've got. So it's a double-edged sword. We need more employees, but at the same time, we don't want people that have this integrity. So it's tough. I'm all about positive intent. I'm all about believing in the good of people. I still believe that if you're patient, the right person will come in and apply for the job at the right time. All right? You just got to keep that belief, and it's coming. All right? Kind of along the same lines of managing poor performance, what the best do better than everyone else is that they manage conflict. And what the best do better is that they realize that conflict between two humans is natural, all right? It is human nature for people to have conflict, all right? You've got to recognize, is this healthy conflict or is this destructive conflict, all right? It's okay to disagree with somebody. It's okay to have a different belief than somebody, all right? But you get to make the decision, can I still be friends with this person? Can I still work with this person even though they believe in something different than me? All right, or am I going to make them my enemy? All right, and y'all know, of course, we've been dealing with this for several years now, that we are in this us-them world right now, where you either believe in the same thing that I believe in, or you're my enemy. And we've got to get back together and realize that it's okay. It's okay. I was just having a conversation with someone Tuesday night, as a matter of fact, and I absolutely love and adore this person. I hold her very, very close to my heart. And we were talking politics, which is always a bad idea, right? But she had made a very thorough observation and opinion about a particular person, and I sat and I listened to her and thought about what she was saying, and and then I gave it a couple of seconds and I calmly and politely said, hey, thank you for sharing your opinion. I do have to respectfully disagree with a lot of what you said, but you're still my friend, and I still love you and I still respect you. And it's okay. It's okay for her to have that opinion. I have my opinion. We're still friends, all right? So realize that conflict is natural, all right? Now, destructive conflict, where it is affecting the needs of your business, it is affecting the children, all right? That needs to be addressed immediately, all right? The two individuals that are having conflict need to be pulled into the office together, and we need to work on this. We need to talk about this, all right? We need to be adults and we need to be mature about it. But once again, don't ignore it and expect it to go away. It needs to be immediately addressed. Now, my whole thing is, I'm not going to fix this problem for you. You two need to fix this problem amongst yourselves. I'll be happy to sit here and coach you. I'll be happy to sit here and mediate, all right? But I can't solve this problem for you. The issue that you two are having with one another, y'all have to work out. That's the only way it's going to be productive, and that's the only way for those two employees to be able to move forward. If I try to solve the problem for them, the choice isn't theirs. They're being forced to cooperate, all right? And within a couple of days, you're going to go right back down that rabbit hole, all right? So you let them know, hey, I'll be happy to sit here and mediate and to coach, but you two have to solve this problem that you're having with each other. I'm reading it. Okay, so I got a question. I have an employee who I found out was creating a toxic environment right before she stepped away to have a baby. I found out after she left. She hasn't worked for me since December, but she wants to come back in the fall. How do you address this? That's a very good question. Good question right there. I want you to understand that there's different interpretations to reality, and each individual has their own interpretation of reality. And especially if this particular behavior went unnoticed and you didn't find out about it until after she was gone, then you're only getting segments of reality, or just a couple of different people's point of view or their version of the situation. I think, and I don't know this person, I have no idea who this is, But I think she has a right to know about other people's opinion of her behavior, and I think she has a right to make her case. All right. I think you need to hear what she has to say. Hey, I would love to have you back in the fall. I do want to have a conversation about some behavior that took place right before you left to go on maternity leave. It has come to my attention that there has been some behavior that is being perceived as toxic. All right, let's sit down and let's talk about this. And that's how I would word it. It has come to my attention that there was some behavior that was perceived as toxic. Let's sit down and see what you have to say. All right. Because once again, she may not even be aware of her behavior. And look, I'm a man and I get this, okay? And especially if this behavior came at the end of her pregnancy. She was in her 3rd trimester, in a pandemic. I bet she was going through a lot of emotions. She had a lot on her plate, and there was probably a lot of anxiety about to give birth to a baby with everything that's going on in this world. Would that have an effect on someone's emotion and their attitude? Absolutely it would. If that was a behavior that took place right at the end of her pregnancy, the problem may have already taken care of itself. Just saying. All right. But to go back to your question, Laura, I think that she has a right to know that her behavior was perceived as toxic, and she needs the opportunity to address it, and then go from there. See what her response is and how she handles that feedback, and then you can make the decision on whether or not she's coming back in the fall. All right. What the best do better than everyone else is that you care for your teachers, all right? And you show that you care on a daily basis. Now, it's Teacher Appreciation Week right now. Today's the last day of Teacher Appreciation Week. It's been a wonderful week. It's been so much joy seeing these teachers get appreciated by the families. I was just having this conversation, actually, with a licensing rep yesterday. I had a licensing visit yesterday, and we were talking about Teacher Appreciation Week. I love Teacher Appreciation Week, and I also love Christmas time. And I just love to see our teachers showered with gratitude and appreciation from the parents. And I don't know about y'all, we saw this at Christmas time, Christmas 2020, but this has probably been one of the best Teacher Appreciation Weeks I've ever seen. These parents are bending over backwards for our teachers and showing so much gratitude and so much love, which is really interesting to me because they haven't had any interaction with these teachers since we've gone into lockdown mode and parents have been dropping off and picking up at the front door. So they're just showering them with gratitude and love. And some of them they hadn't even met, or maybe met one time during the tour or on the first day of school. So it's just been so interesting to me the response that we were getting from Teacher Appreciation Week this week. It's been pretty cool, all right, I have to say. But we want to extend that caring past Teacher Appreciation Week. Every day is Teacher Appreciation Day, all right? And the best way to let a teacher know that you care about them is by simply saying, I care about you, all right? Take a deep breath, breathe before you talk, slow down, and just let them know how much you appreciate them and how much you care for them. All right, if you're going 1,000 miles an hour, you're operating like the Energizer Bunny, all right? Those caring words and that affirmation is not going to mean as much, all right? Slow down, take a deep breath, and let them know how much you care. Words are powerful, all right? This kind of goes back to one of my favorite leadership quotes of all time. People will not remember the product that you are selling or the service that you're providing, but people will remember how you made them feel. All right? That is so powerful right there. And that's what we got to look at with our employees. It doesn't matter how much you're paying them. It doesn't matter how much their bonus is. It doesn't matter how much what benefits you're offering them. They will always remember how you make them feel. Okay? So let that sink in right there. All right? Oh, good. I was just kind of reading some of them. Oh yeah, parents just saying how grateful they are that we've stayed open, and the staff are staying so positive. Yeah, good comments and good feedback. And especially those parents that are dealing with older children who are doing virtual learning, and to see the difference between the virtual learning situations versus us. We just keep on trucking, don't we? We just keep on trucking. What pandemic? I don't see no pandemic. We just keep on trucking. I love it. So yes. All right, let's kind of continue on with what the best do better than everyone else. Another great characteristic of the best is confidence. All right. When you believe in yourself, when you're confident in your abilities, people can smell confidence. All right. Now, with that being said, people can also smell weakness. All right. When you don't think you're good enough, when you think that you're failing, when you think I can't handle this, all right, people smell that, and it trickles downhill. It affects every single person in your operation, all right? But when you're confident and you're confident in your abilities, and yes, we're going through a difficult time right now, but I've got this. I've got this. We'll handle it. We'll get through it, all right? We can recognize that it's a tough time, but we're not going to give up. We've got grit, all right? And that's going to motivate your people to keep going as well, all right? So keep that confidence alive. And I understand that we're getting beat down, you know. It just feels like a test, right? This should be like a movie right now that, you know, people just keep throwing more and more at us. Well, okay, they made it through pandemic. Let's throw, this at them now. Oh, they made it through that. Well, let's throw no employees at them now. I know it kind of feels like a reality show, but hey, you know what? We keep going, don't we? All right? And you've got to keep that confidence alive. Believe in yourself. All right? Talk to yourself. This is what confident people do. They talk to themselves instead of listening to themselves. All right? I read this, I can't remember what I was reading. It was a book, but they were talking about runners, you know, people that are long distance runners. And those athletes have to be trained to talk to their body rather than listen to their body. Because, you know, an athlete that's doing cross-country running, you know, once you ran for so many miles, your body starts telling you, it's time to stop. We need to rest now. So these athletes have to train themselves to talk to their body. You know, we're going to keep going. We've got grit. We've got determination. We're in it to win it. Okay, we're going to the finish line. And that's how they keep going, is by talking to themselves rather than listening to themselves. That's what we've got to do too, all right, especially during these difficult times like right now, all right? I can handle this. I've got the skills I need. I'm safe, all right? I can give the teachers the support they need to be successful in the classroom. We've got this. All right? And you're going to be successful. I can almost guarantee it. Don't let that busyness and stress and that exhaustion wear you down. Okay? Don't listen to it. You've got to be stronger. Confidence, we see this in classrooms too. That teacher that can walk into any classroom at any time and just instantly gain control. And they don't yell, they don't scream, they don't have veins popping out of their head. They can just walk into a classroom and boom, they've got it. What does that teacher have? How do they make that happen? It's confidence. All right? They're confident in their skills and their abilities. It doesn't take screaming and shouting and threatening. Just their presence. All right? Boom, classroom's under control. And I bet y'all know adults like that too. Leaders like this as well. That just their presence in the operation, the energy changes. All right? And you feel a positive, warm energy in the air. That's confidence. All right? Now remember, the only person you can change is yourself. So you have to make this choice to be a confident individual. All right? Now, with that being said, another characteristic of the best is that you leave your ego at the door. All right? You may be really, really good at what you do. And I know a lot of you that I see your names popping up on the Facebook Live. You're awesome. Okay? You're a fantastic leader and a fantastic director. I know several of you, your names. All right? And I know you personally too. You're good, but you leave your ego at the door. You don't walk around acting superior. All right? Because walking around acting superior, you're going to get an opposite response. We talked about those teachers that can walk into a classroom and boom, they gain control. I've experienced 2 situations in my career, actually 3, as a matter of fact, where I had some of those teachers that were amazing in the classroom. They were amazing with the kids. Could put them in any room and they would be successful. One girl in particular that I'm thinking about right now, she was really, really good. She knew she was really, really good. And she walked around the school and thought she was the queen and expected everybody to bow down to her. Well, we had a lot of issues with her, and this was one of those situations where you've got to weigh the pros and the cons, Yes, she is a really good teacher in the classroom, but she rubs the adults the wrong way. And half the staff can't stand her and they want to punch her in the throat, And even parents feel like they're talked down to, with her behavior. And that was a tough situation, and we had to have many difficult conversations about her personality and her attitude, and at some point you've got to make the decision what is in the best interest of the school. All right? Having this fantastic, wonderful teacher, but her inability to work with people, with adults, and usually, she got to go. No matter how good you are, if you can't be part of the team, if you can't be an encourager and a supporter, you can have all these skills and talents all day long. It's not benefiting the school. All right? Leave your ego at the door. Another thing that one of my mentors taught me early on in my career, and this is something that I keep really close to me, and I have to share this with a lot of people. Every single one of us, we are replaceable. All right? We can all be replaced. And there's always going to be someone better than you. Okay? So, when you have this person that doesn't leave their ego at the door, hey, you can be replaced. Trust me, you can be replaced. And y'all know, sometimes you get those teachers. I don't deal well with threats. We had this conversation yesterday, actually. Well, if you fire me, I'm going to take half the kids with me. I'm like, game on, all right? Let's put this to the test, okay? I think I'm going to win. But game on, bring it on. Challenge accepted, I don't deal well with those types of situations. Look, you're either committed and dedicated to this school or you're not. There's no midway point right here. I need people that are committed and dedicated, and they want the entire school to be successful, not just their classroom. All right, because this is a team effort. This is a team effort. Oh, yeah, Stephanie's saying she just had to have this conversation with someone yesterday. Yeah. And that's a tough one right there for sure. When you've got that person that doesn't know how to leave their ego at the door. All right. Yes. Another characteristic, what the best do better than other people, is they put the children's needs in front of their own. All right. This is not about me. This is about the children in our program. And how can we make the program better for them? That's what we want to strive to do right there. You know, I had a situation a couple of years ago where, you walk into the classroom and it's freezing. It's like the air conditioning's down on 65. And I'm like, why is it so cold in this room? And the teacher's like, oh, I have the hot flashes, I like it cold. Well, the kids are over here like cuddled up in the home center clothing, their teeth are chattering and they're blue. And like this person could just care less about the kids. She was only concerned about keeping herself comfortable. And so we had to have that conversation. Hey, this is not about you. Okay, this is about them. We've got to make sure that the children feel safe. We got to make sure that the children feel comfortable and that we're providing care and education that is appropriate for them. The adult has the ability to adapt. The children, some of them don't have that skill yet. All right? So my recommendation to you is to wear some different clothing and maybe do some things where we can keep you cool, but not at the expense of the child. All right? Where, I walk into another classroom and, the teacher is adapting and they're dealing with their personal situation, but the kids are comfortable, I say this because summer is coming up and rumor on the streets is that we're supposed to have a hot summer, this year. So we'll see. All right. The best crave professional development. You're a professional development junkie. The best are always looking to be better. We don't settle. All right. We don't become complacent. All right. We're always striving to learn more, to do more, to be a better person, and to share those new skills and that new knowledge with as many people as possible. All right? You don't settle for mediocre. All right? And, and especially these last 5 years in the early education industry has been just so incredibly fascinating to me because we have learned so much more about child growth and development and the human brain and how people operate and how we can adapt to meet the needs of these kids. And it's just been so incredibly fascinating, and that energizes me right there. That gets me motivated. And that's what the best do. All right. You're always striving to be better. All right. I get these people that come to my workshop sometime. I was down in San Antonio a couple of years ago, and I had this lady that showed up, and when she went to sign in, she looked right at me and said, "Are you the trainer?" I said, "Yeah." "Well, I just want you to know that I've been doing this for 27 years now. There's nothing you're going to say today that I don't already know. I'm just here for my hours." I'm like, all right, good for you. Congratulations on 27 years in the industry. That's awesome. But there's always something new to learn. And there's always something new that you can practice in your classroom to adapt to the current set of children. And that was kind of my response to her, because this was, I want to say, September, October. And I said, hey, congratulations on 27 years in the industry. That's awesome. But even though this may be your 27th year, of working with young children, those kids that are in your classroom this year, it's their first year with you. All right? So, what are you going to do to adapt to this particular group of children? And what can you offer to this group of children that you've never offered to another group? We got to be humble and hungry and always look for more. And it's not about the training hours. All right? I understand that licensing requires us to get, annual training hours. We have to do the same topics over and over again. I get it. All right? But it's not about getting your hours. It's about what can I do to grow professionally. All right? That's what the best look for right there. All right? Thank you, Rosie. That was so sweet of you. She learned something new every time she listens to one of my trainings. Your check is in the mail. I appreciate that. Yes, Stephanie's saying that she's been doing it for 33 plus years and she's always learning. Times are changing. Rules are changing. Children are different. Yes, yes, and yes. I agree with every single bit of that. Gosh, because I'm on my 34th year right here, and every year is a brand new year, is the way I look at it. But can y'all think back and can you remember some of the things that we did, 33, 34 years ago, way back in the beginning when some of us first started, working in early education? Do you ever look back and think about some of those things that we did and you're like, oh my gosh, yeah. It's kind of crazy to reflect back and look back and then compare it to what we're doing now. And you're like, holy cow, we've come a long way. We've come a really long way. Yeah. Lifelong learners, lifelong workers, yeah. Hey, Billy, I am not a grandpa yet. Back it up. Don't be putting that out in the universe, okay? I got grand dogs and I got a grand lizard and a grand cat. I'm not a grandpa yet. All right. Yes, my daughter called me up earlier this week and she was having some tummy issues and told me she was going to go to the doctor, and y'all know the first thing I asked her, right? No, Dad, I'm not. And I'm like, please go to the doctor and make sure. She's 20, she'll be 26 this year, so if she is, it's okay. And she's got a great job and everything, but I'm not ready yet. 5 more years. That's what I want. 5 years. All right. The best are always looking to partner with parents, and you've got that cooperation and that partnership with parents. They're not just your customers. You are partnering with this parent to raise that child, all right? And the best see parents as partners and not customers, all right? And you establish that relationship with the parent that you are partners, that we're in this together, and you do it in a respectful way. Now this one, has changed a lot again over the years, talking about the differences between back then and now. Parents want us to be the experts these days, all right? They want us to give them that support and that knowledge and that encouragement and that guidance and coaching when it comes to raising their child. And they recognize that the child is spending more of their waking hours with us than they are at home, all right? So that partnership between the teacher and the director and the parent has really become strong over the last few years. And I do believe that once we move past the pandemic, we're going to see a really remarkable partnership between the families and the programs. I can almost see this becoming an expectation, all right, rather than something that the best do better, all right? But always look at that partnership with the parents, all right? Great. Oh yeah, keep on taking notes there. Robin says she worked with me back in a previous life. Oh, Lordy have mercy. We could probably share some stories from back in those days right there. Y'all know that you got to be very careful because it's a very small child care world here in the state of Texas. Even though we're the 11th largest employer in the state, it's a very small world, and you never know when people's paths are going to cross again. And that's why, one of my big life rules, never burn a bridge. All right, never burn a bridge because you never know when you may have to cross it again. All right, so that's kind of my philosophy right there. So, or when you're going to cross it again, or when you need help crossing that bridge, you don't want to burn it. All right. Something else that the best do better than everyone else is that we accept responsibility. All right, we all make mistakes. Every single one of us, we make mistakes. The best own their mistake. All right. Oops, I made a mistake. 100% on me. All right. But here's how I'm going to fix it. And here's how I'm going to learn from it. Rather than trying to blame and attack someone else for the mistake that you made. All right. And I'm sure everyone on this Facebook Live can share an experience where it's very obvious that somebody made a mistake, but they blamed and attacked someone else, and they tried to push that mistake on somebody else. Come on, folks. Life is too short. We got too much to do here. All right? Own it. All right? Take accountability for it. Fix it and learn from it and move on. All right? And this is something that I tell people that I work with so often, and even my own two children, this is something that I tell them all the time. If you make a mistake, just tell me, hey, I made a mistake. All right. This is what I want to do to fix it, or hey, I need some help fixing this mistake. Can you give me some guidance or coaching? And sometimes I don't know the answer. Sometimes we got to look into it. But just be upfront and honest with me and say, I made a mistake. Okay. I tell people all the time that if you are just upfront and honest, we can work through it. All right. We will work through whatever mistake you made. Now, if you keep it from me, if you try to hide it, if you try to cover it up, and I get blindsided by it, all right, different story. Okay. Different story. Just be upfront and honest. Most importantly, own it. All right? Own it and accept responsibility. That's how we make progress. Okay? That's how we make progress. And I bet every single person on this Facebook Live can probably write a book over the mistakes that they have made and what they have learned from those mistakes. And you probably wouldn't be the person you are today if it wouldn't have been for that mistake you made. All right? And sometimes those mistakes hurt and they're very sad, but they take your life in a different direction. All right? And you probably wouldn't be here today, all right, wherever you're sitting, if that mistake wouldn't have sent you in a different path. Kind of think about that right there. But own it, take responsibility. Every day is a brand new day. So, what the best do better than anyone else is that at the end of the day, it's the end of the day. And this morning, when you got up this morning and you came to your school, it's a brand new day. We're not going to carry over the garbage from yesterday. All right? Yesterday's garbage went to the garbage can, and today is a brand new day. And we're not going to hold yesterday's garbage over someone else's head. All right? Every day is a new opportunity for every single person, and that's what you've got to look for, and that's what you've got to see. All right? So whatever mistakes, whatever comments, whatever behavior you had yesterday or someone had yesterday, it's in the past. All right? Today is a new opportunity. Okay? And that's what you've got to look at things right there. So there you go. The only man who never makes a mistake is the man who never does anything. Great quote, Stephanie. Well, Stephanie is on fire today. Great quote. Yeah, the man that doesn't do anything, because it happens to every single one of us. All right. You know that mistakes are necessary in order to be successful. All right. And that's why we constantly use the quote. If you're going to fail, you fail forward. All right. We fail forward. We move on. Expect a challenge as an opportunity. All right. So when you have those obstacles and those challenges, this is your opportunity to lead. All right. This is your opportunity to take your employees and take your customers to the next level. Rather than ignoring from it, rather than hiding from it, we're going to accept the challenge and give people direction. All right. Don't judge a book by its cover. All right. I think we've learned this so much over the last few years in our industry as well, that people come in all different shapes, sizes, colors, personalities, tones. It's a big mixed bag of nuts right there. But don't judge a book by its cover. There's some amazing, incredible people that have amazing talents that may look a little different. And they may sound a little different, all right? They may dress a little different than you, but that doesn't mean they can't be an amazing asset to your organization, all right? So give people a chance, okay? Remind yourself, all right, that you wouldn't be where you're at today unless someone believed in you. So recognize that person that gave you a chance. Recognize that person that didn't judge you, all right? I'll use myself as an example. I'm a man working in an industry that 97% of the workforce is female. Back in 1987, when I was looking for a job in an after-school program, and no one would hire me. I can't even tell you how many applications I filled out. Most places wouldn't even take my application. I went into one school in Grand Prairie, Texas, to turn in an application, and she threatened to call the police on me. Just because I walked in the door and wanted to turn in an application. And it was very discouraging and very disheartening. And then one program in Irving, Texas gave me a chance. And here I am today. So, you don't judge a book by its cover. And some of us have really dealt with that in our career. All right. Let's kind of talk now a little bit about our teachers. All right. And recognizing the best of the best in our teachers and what the best teachers do better than everybody else. The best know what they truly want. All right. And I purposely wore my Proud Early Educator t-shirt today because of this particular characteristic. I wear this shirt a lot. I have a whole bunch of them, by the way. It's not the same shirt over and over again. But this is not a job. This is a purpose. And it's not just a job. It's their job. And that is what makes someone the best, is they know what they want. All right. I want to be a successful early educator where I make a difference in these kids' life. And you can see this, you can smell this, you can taste this when they're around you. All right? They know what they want. And I'm sure you have all dealt with an employee that didn't know what they want, and that this job was just a stepping stone for them. They didn't even know why they were there. And, it's like comparing an apple to an orange and the results that you're getting, all right? I just observed a teacher yesterday. Oh my goodness, can someone please invent a cloning machine so we can make 150 of her? It was so absolutely amazing to watch her in action. And again, you look at what makes her different than anyone else. She knows what she wants. All right. She's got the passion, the desire, the vision to be a proud early educator, and you see it in her performance. All right. So, I always tell people when you're dealing with, someone who is not meeting expectations, one of the first things I always encourage you to do is to try to reconnect them with their passion. All right. Why do you work in early education? Why do you work in an after-school program? People don't get burned out because of the job that they do. People get burned out because they forget why they do it. Y'all have heard me say that so many times. All right. So sometimes we need to be reminded. Okay. The best want it more. All right. So not only do they know what they want, but they want it more. All right. So again, that desire and that passion to be humble and hungry and to always learn more and to strive to be more, that's there with them. All right. So not just want it, but want it more. All right. We already talked about this one with leaders, but teachers, how you can really tell the best of the best is that the teacher who is always striving to be better. All right. Y'all know the ones that are constantly asking you for more professional development, for more training opportunities. Is there a college class that I could take? They just want to be better and better, and they want to learn more and more. All right. That's awesome right there. I was just with a teacher earlier this week, and she's fabulous, absolutely fabulous. And she's having this conversation about, some future professional development opportunities. And I'm like, well, you've already done so much, what else is there that you could do? Well, she was still hungry for more, so we're on a mission to find her more professional development, that's applicable to our world. But I love that. Because she's striving to be better and better and better. That's pretty awesome right there. The best do ordinary things better than anyone else, and this is something that I really encourage y'all to look for. Just your average everyday activities in an early education classroom. Look at the difference between teacher A and teacher B. Finger painting, for example, all right? Finger painting with toddlers or 2-year-olds where, you can do the shaving cream with some food coloring in it and put it on the table and let them, paint, on the table right there. Everyday common early education activity right here, but compare teacher A to teacher B. All right, we're over here, the teacher's like, oh, now I gotta clean this up, and kids are making such a mess, and I'm gonna have to put play clothes on them or a smock on them, and oh, this is so much work. Or teacher B that is encouraging the mess, the messier, the better, encouraging that creativity, mixing the colors, getting it everywhere, getting those children excited. All right, and just an ordinary, typical activity comparing teacher A and teacher B blows your mind sometimes. All right, it all goes back to attitude. All right, what's in it for me versus what is in the best interest of the children. All right, and sometimes all they care about is themselves and the extra work that's going to be put on them. What the best is going to be looking at what's in the best interest of the children. That's making ordinary things better than everyone else. Pretty cool stuff. Those teachers that Zoom focus, all right? So you're really looking at the attention to detail. You're looking at each individual child and you're adapting that ordinary activity in a way that is beneficial to each individual child. They're zooming that focus and they're having conversations about that. That's what makes them better than anyone else right there, the best of the best, is when they have that ability to look at each individual child and how can I adapt this activity for that child. So encourage them to zoom that focus right there. Something else that makes the best better is those that are mentally tough, all right? Those that are mentally strong. Now here's how you notice this. Pay close attention to the teachers in your program that make it a daily practice to take care of their mental health. You, the leader of the program, what are you doing daily to take care of your mental health? All right? And is it obvious that you're taking care of your mental health? Whether it's meditating, praying, exercising, making sure that you're eating clean and healthy foods, 15 minutes a day that you take a gratitude walk, all right? But these are the people that are going to thrive, and these are the people that are going to survive. These are going to be the ones that have the grit that keep going. Those of you that take care of your mental health, all right, are going to exceed. You have to stay mentally strong in this industry, just in life in general right now, right? But that's how you recognize it. I told you about that teacher that that I observed recently that was just so out of this world spectacular that I want a cloning machine. I really need for one of y'all to find that cloning machine. But you know what? Something else I know about this person, she takes care of her mental health. And it's very obvious that she has a lot of different practices that she takes care of her mental health. And you see it in her performance, all right? So if you're not already doing so, something that I would encourage you to do in your program, initiate some opportunity where you can support employees to take care of their mental health, all right? Whether, again, it's meditating, yoga, providing exercise opportunities or physical opportunities right there, but we want to make sure that we're providing that for them. I don't know if y'all noticed, but with the stimulus money that is coming to us in June, that dollar amount is divided into two different categories. Half of it, or it's not even half, it's like a third and 2/3. But part of it is for stabilization, and the other part is flexibility, which is basically the subsidized program. Well, the stabilization part of the money, one of the categories that is addressed in that, it talks about building rent, mortgages, bringing staff back to work, increasing staff salaries, But one line item that I thought was very interesting is money that is earmarked for mental health, employees' mental health. So I thought that was very interesting right there. So we'll probably do some webinars, once we learn more about the how this money is going to be distributed on how we can support our employees' mental health a little bit more. All right. Something else that the best do better is they recognize fear and they overcome it. All right. Now, every single one of us, we have a part of our job that we really don't like. Or we have a certain situation that we have to deal with in our job that creates a little bit of anxiety within us. Rather than hiding from that anxiety, the best, face it. All right. I have some anxiety over going into that 2-year-old classroom. It's not my favorite age group. All right. I don't feel like I have the skills and the ability to be successful in that room. So instead of saying, director, don't ever put me in that 2-year-old room, all right? What the best is going to say, I'm going to do some research and I'm going to get some professional development, and it's a goal of mine to be able to go into that 2-year-old room and be successful. Face your fears, all right? And that's something else you see with the best, is that they are able to recognize it and face it, all right? So think about this. What is something that gives you anxiety, and why haven't you faced it yet? Okay, it might be the one thing that's holding you back. So we got to look at that. The next characteristic that you will see in your classroom teachers that the best do better, I love this one, they seize the moment, all right? I have a whole part of my CDA class that I teach. Now, my whole CDA class is self-paced right now, but hopefully soon I'll get back to instructor-led CDA class because I love teaching CDA. But those teachable moments, those spontaneous moments in the classroom that are unplanned, that are not on the lesson plan, it's not on your agenda, but those moments that happen in the classroom that you take advantage of it and you do something spontaneous that turns out to be absolutely amazing, that's what the best do better, is they look for those spontaneous moments of excellence, all right? The activities that we do that are not on the lesson plan are usually the best ones, all right? It's those unplanned moments where you seize the opportunity and you make it great, I had this teacher one time, and I've got some pictures of this, but they were just doing some finger painting, regular traditional finger painting in the classroom, and this kid got some brown paint and put it on his nose. And the teacher goes, oh no, the paint goes on the paper, not on your nose. And the little boy goes, well, I want to be a tiger, rawr, So, instead of going, nope, we're going to put finger paint on the paper, the teacher was like, okay, sounds like a plan. You can paint your nose brown and you can be a tiger for the morning. Well then, all the other kids are like, well, I want to be a tiger too. I want to be an elephant. I want to be a panda bear. Next thing you know, the entire class is painted like different animals. And it was one of the most precious, exciting things you've ever seen. And I've got some amazing pictures of it. That was not on the lesson plan. All right? That was one kid that put paint on his nose and said, I want to be a tiger for the day. And she ran with it. All right? And it created a magical moment, all right? So that's what the best, look for right there. Tap into a greater power than themselves, all right? And this is definitely a big characteristic of the best. And y'all have probably heard me say this before, but, that teacher that realizes that child is in their classroom for a particular reason. Not because the parent enrolled the child in your school, not because the director placed that child on your roster, but a power much greater than all of us put that child in their presence, all right? You were given an opportunity by a greater power to make a difference in that child's life. There is a reason this relationship was established. Take that opportunity and run with it. All right, take that opportunity and make the best of it. Instead of complaining, instead of saying I can't, instead of saying this kid's got to go, all right, recognize the opportunity that you've been given and make the best of it. That's what you see with the best of the best. Hey, I've got this kid that is having an issue in my classroom. I'm going to take it upon myself to do some research, to practice different skills, and recognize the factor that's causing his behavior, and I'm not going to give up on him. All right? When you've got a teacher that has that attitude, I can guarantee you they will be successful. All right? Failure is not an option here. All right? This child was placed in my classroom for a reason. The best, leave a legacy. All right? Now, I do this icebreaker activity in a lot of my workshops, especially when I'm at conferences and whatnot, where, I ask people to write down the name of their favorite teacher they had when they were in school. So whether it was preschool, elementary, middle school, high school, college, but write down the name of your favorite teacher. And then, and people can instantly do it. No one ever has to think about it. You can always instantly write down the name of that favorite teacher. And then ask them why. Okay, write down the characteristics of why that person was your favorite teacher. And write down those characteristics. And then we talk about it and we share it. And there's usually tears. Someone always cries. Never fails. And then ask yourself, in 20, 30 years, the students that are in your classroom right now, if someone were to ask them who was their favorite teacher and why, how many of you want your name written down on that piece of paper? Every single child that comes into your presence, you have that opportunity to leave a legacy, to make a lifelong impression on them. And that's what the best do better, is they look for those opportunities to make a difference in every single child that they come into contact with. Now, the extension on that activity that I tell people to write down the name of their favorite teacher and write down the characteristics of their favorite teacher, and we share them. And then I ask them, how many of you feel like you're a child magnet? That children are just gravitate towards you, and not just the kids in your classroom, but strange children that you've never met before come running up to you in Walmart, or you go out to dinner and children you've never met before just staring at you from across the restaurant. Why do you think you're a kid magnet? What personality or what characteristics do you have that makes children gravitate towards you? And then they make their list of their characteristics, that make them a child magnet. And then I tell them to compare the list. The characteristics that you wrote down about your favorite teacher that you had growing up is usually an identical list to why you think you're a kid magnet. All right? And this aha moment that everyone has is pretty awesome. That's the legacy that person left. That's the impression that person left on you. You have basically become that favorite teacher. It's pretty awesome right there. All right. The best are always striving to make everyone around them better. Okay, so it's not just about me, and it's not just about me growing professionally, but I want to make everyone around me, better. And that's what the best do right there, is that they encourage other people to continue to grow. And sometimes, a lot of times, just their presence, okay? Just being around this passionate person, all right? You want to be better. And I'm sure a lot of you can identify, a person that just being around them makes you want to be a better person, that you're motivated just being in the presence of this individual. That's that separates people from the best to the best, all right? Is it's not just about you, but how can I make everyone around me better? Okay, the children in the classroom, the other teachers that I work with, the community, the families that we work with, that's what they look for right there. All right, very cool. So I know that was a lot. That was a lot of characteristics that the best do better than everyone else. I kind of figured that we would get done in about an hour and a half today, but I think I gave you a lot of information to reflect on, a lot of information to really take back and look at each individual employee in your program, each family that you're working with in your program. So I gave you a lot to reflect on. All right, so your online worksheet for today's training should already be on Facebook. I had it scheduled to post at 10:30. And so for those of you that are needing a certificate of completion for today's training, You know, you can go ahead and fill that out and I can email your certificate to you. It is still going to be 3 hours because it's going to take you a little bit longer to complete this worksheet, because I put some very thought-provoking questions that you're going to need to really reflect and you know, think about before answering. So this worksheet is going to take you a little bit more time than normal. Remember, I saw a lot of people that came on late. That's okay. Welcome. I'm glad that you are here. Remember, you can go back and watch the entire video from start to end on Facebook, and it will also be posted on my website later on today, hopefully. But all of our videos that we do on Facebook Live are on our Facebook page. If you just go to the videos tab, and then, like I said, they're always on our website, timthetrainer.com. All right. Thank you, Rosie. I thought it was a good one today, too. All right, so remember, we're doing teacher workshop tomorrow. We're doing summer and field trip safety. It should be an interesting one. It's going to be a different summer for us. Some of you may or may not be doing field trips this year. Either way, we're going to talk about it both ways. I plan on talking about just normal, traditional, everyday field trips as if the world was normal. But we're also going to talk about, you know, how we're going to adapt summer safety and field trips in a post-pandemic world. All right. So I want to make sure that I cover both, because I know everyone's kind of doing something different this summer, depending on your comfort level and depending on the safety of your community. So it's going to be a little different all over the board. But we'll cover it all in tomorrow's teacher workshop. You know, you can join, your teachers can join. But like I said, if they're unable to join us, it will be recorded, and you can always watch the recording as well. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Crystal, for the affirmation. I appreciate that. Hang in there. Keep that passion and that grit alive. We can handle this. We're going to get through this situation that we're in. Yes, tomorrow is at 9 a.m. Sorry. Thank you for that. So 9 a.m. And I should have summer dates and summer topics posted in the very near future. I'm finalizing those hopefully today. All right. So I will see all of you very, very soon.